My name is Kata Bunkai, and what I'd like to talk about first is my martial arts background. It started in 1972 in an Okinawan system of karate called Uichi-Ryu. At the time, I was 13 years old, and a lot of the movements in that system seemed kind of silly to me. Open hand blocking, short kicks to the lower extremities didn't seem very realistic. In 1974, moved to New York, and I started in a Japanese system where I had a great foundation in power and speed. Joined the Marine Corps in 1978 and trained at several places in the Marine Corps with jiu-jitsu, judo, and finally in Okinawan Kempo. What I focused on originally was impact and speed and power, a sport application of karate. I believe that the true application of the martial art way of karate has been lost. The martial art aspects have been done through kata. Without an understanding of kata, the actual bunkai in the kata, or the hidden movements, you never get a real appreciation of combat karate. Bunkai and kata. There are several different theories on bunkai and kata. The Chinese developed acupuncture over 4,000 years ago. This acupuncture was for healing, but there was also a combative, more destructive purpose for acupuncture. This was called dim-mak, or death touch. It also spread to Okinawa, where it was called kyusho, or vital point striking. In Japan, it was called atemiwaza, or striking. These striking techniques are done to 12 major meridians on the body and to acupuncture points. For our purposes, though, I'm going to call them pressure points, and I'll explain about the difference. Most Westerners do not understand acupuncture or meridians. So what I have done is had quite extensive interviews with neurosurgeons and sports doctors on this subject. We find that the acupuncture points and the meridians follow the nervous system of the human body. So striking certain acupuncture points is also striking nerves. The next thing I would like to talk about is stance. The first stance I will talk about is Nikoashi Dachi, or cat foot stance. This is what the stance would look like in most traditional dojos. My question has been put to many, many black belts is how is this stance offensive in nature? Most time I get told that you can throw a kick from this stance, which is correct, you can. At this point, I'd like to introduce my assistant, Mike Dunn. And I'm going to demonstrate how Nikoashi Dachi is also offensive in itself. Mike steps forward here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strike to his foot using my foot, using the toes of the foot to pressure points. First one here is stomach 43. Next one here at the center of the foot is stomach 42. The next one here, where the foot bends, is stomach 41. There's one more if we're off on the side at a 45-degree angle, which is called gallbladder 40, right in the hollow between the bone and the foot. Now these are not designed to knock a person out, but to distract his attention away from what we're doing. I go into Nikoashi, and I put pressure down. This is a distraction for the next technique. The next stance I would like to talk about is Kibadachi and Shikodachi, horse riding stance and sumo stance. Again, I ask black belts from this position, which is inherent in almost all systems, how is this an offensive movement? Again, we've all done thousands of punches in this position and been told that it's to strengthen our legs. But there's a combative application for this movement. As he steps in, I step into Shikodachi, and I break the balance. Other foot, please. He steps in this way. I come around here and bend. And of course, we can follow down onto the Achilles tendon. The next stance I would like to talk about is Zenkutsu Dachi, front stance. Traditionally, it looks like this. Some people may have a little longer, some a little shorter, but again, they're all basically the same. As the opponent comes in, the combat application of Zenkutsu is here, coming to the side and breaking the balance, going to the outside and breaking the balance. It can also be used in a throwing combination. There are no blocks in karate. We've been told there are, and we've practiced them for years, but they're not actually blocking techniques. Let's look at Niko Ashidachi and Shuto Uki. Shuto, knife hand, Uki, receiver. For years we were told that this is a blocking technique. Traditionally we come back here, hand goes forward, and we strike. Some may come this way and strike. This is not a block, but a strike. As he punches, if I do the traditional block, I can't kick him from this point. I can't strike him. But I've done a solid traditional block. So let's look at how this is actually a combat application of a striking technique. As he steps forward to punch, the first movement is here, striking down on a vital point on the forearm. The hand comes up and strikes to the neck. If he's big or very close to you, the withdrawing comes down this way, striking a vital point on the forearm and then striking a vital point on the neck. There are two motions to these striking techniques: a withdrawing motion and a forward motion. Both of them can be utilized as a strike. Withdrawing, forward. Forward, forward. Let's look at some other blocking techniques, or what we've been told are blocks, which are common throughout most systems of karate. Judan-uki, upper block. Again, this technique does not hold up when talking combat. As he punches, I step back and block. From this position, I can't hit him. So what is this actually? It's a joint manipulation with a vital point strike. I pull the hand up, reach underneath, grabbing the meaty portion of the thumb, twist the hand, pull it to my hip, step forward, and strike. You can call this chi-na, you can call this jiu-jitsu, you can call this tuite. It's all joint manipulation. Other applications: gidan barai, lower block. If he kicks and I step back and block, I'm blocking with the little bone in my hand on a big bone in his leg. It doesn't hold water. So this here, again, I can't hit him from this position. So what does this technique actually become? As he punches, redirect and strike. Or, as he punches, redirect and break. Judan uchi-uke, inside block. Again, we're told traditionally, as he punches, I step back and block and punch. This technique is here, pulling back to the hip again, getting him off balance, and breaking the arm. Judan soto-uke, outside block. As he punches, deflect and break. For 20 years, I trained in these basic techniques, this waza. And I actually thought that these techniques were lower blocks against front kicks or blocking techniques against punches. It's only been in the last few years that we've actually understood that these techniques are combative techniques designed to break and kill people. Let's take a look at how some of these techniques tie in. All right, next let's take a look and see what points we're going to be striking in this next series of events. If we look down at his foot, that's the gallbladder 40 point that we talked about before. It's a place in between muscle and bone that we're actually going to split. As we come up to the arm and the hand here, right above the hand, you'll see the lung 8 and the heart 7, these points here. Or the radial nerve and the ulnar nerve. Moving on up to the bicep, you have the lung 3 and 4 point, which is also a trigger point for the hand. Meaning when I strike up here, the hand will get numb. First technique is the defense against the same side hand grab. The first thing we have to do is move 45 degrees out of his power. At the same time, we're going into cat stands using the toes on a gallbladder 40 point. This is a distraction technique, which allows me to raise my hand up, fingers towards the sky, which allows space to be formed in the hand here. I reach around with 3 fingers, grab the meaty portion of the thumb. If you look at my index finger and my thumb, they're on the lung and the heart meridian, or the radial nerve and the ulnar nerve. I pull it away, I twist the hand, I pull it to my hip. Just as we've been taught 1,000 times before in all of our punching techniques, the withdrawing hand goes to the obi. The back fist comes down on the bicep on the lung 3 and 4 point. Let's take a look at this same technique from a different view. Again, same side wrist grab. First thing we do is we step to the side, cat stance, going to the point on the foot. Distracts him. The hand comes up, fingers towards the sky. Reaching underneath, grabbing the meaty portion of the thumb, thumb and forefinger on the radial and the ulnar nerve. Twisting the hand, pulling it back to the belt, striking the bicep. This strike is a trigger mechanism which will cause the arm to go numb. Next, let's look at it full speed. Hey! Hey! Next, let's talk about the next striking areas. If you look down at the feet, you'll see the same points that we've covered in the past. Taking a look up here to the leg, you'll see the liver 9 point, which is on the quadricep. Moving to the hand, you have the extraordinary point number 5. This point is located between the thumb and the forefinger in the meaty portion. Where the 2 bones, where the thumb and the forefinger join, you're going to actually split the muscle and the bone with your finger. We also have a point here on the radial nerve. Next, let's look at the next technique. A cross-hand defense. We could step 45, like we have in the past, and use the same techniques to the points on the feet. Now I have bare feet here, but in actuality, with shoes on, this technique actually works better. The hard plastic of the shoes or the hard soles works very well on these points. Well, let's go ahead and examine another point. The extraordinary point, number 5. The first thing I'm going to want to do is, again, step 45, go in my cat stance. Come up, going to where the bones meet, splitting the muscle and the bone, which gives us the reaction. Trapping his hand with my hand, the other hand comes around and onto the radial nerve. I pull him with my fingers on the radial nerve, and at this point, I bring the knee up. It doesn't really matter if you hit the head, the brachial plexus, or the arm. Any of those points are fine. As you can see, once the foot is here, we kick to the liver 9 point. Now, most people think that when we do a front kick, that the front kick must land here. That that's where the technique is. In actuality, in this technique, the first blow is here with the knee coming up, or here. And this just gets them off. Let's take a look at the same technique from a different point of view. Cross hand defense. Again, we step 45 at the same time, coming to the extraordinary point number 5 and causing pressure. Trap with the left hand, the right hand comes over onto the radial nerve. Pull in. Knee comes up, first striking technique, foot goes out to the liver 9. Let's take a look at it full speed. The next technique will be a defense against a lapel grab. Let's look at the points that we're going to be striking on this. First, we'll be using the extraordinary point number 5 between the thumb and the forefinger, the radial nerve, the lung 3 and 4 point, and the liver number 9 point. As he grabs the lapel, again I have to distract. I can do this by moving 45 degrees and stepping on the points on the foot. But this time we're going to move 45 degrees in cat stance, trap his hand, bring a 1 knuckle punch up, and put pressure on the extraordinary point. If this does not help, we're going to come down with a back fist to the lung 3 and 4 point. At this point, I slide the hand back up, grab the meaty portion by his little finger, and twist the hand. This hand will slide down the radial nerve and pull him in. Keeping his fingers on my chest, dragging it down, raise the leg as if to kick, break the fingers, and take the liver 9 point. Let's take a look at the same technique again, except this time with a different distractor. He reaches up and grabs. Again, I'm going to step 45 degrees going into cat stance. Hand traps. The hand comes up and strikes the radial nerve in this manner. This would be the same technique as in kata in this manner. This is just one application for this technique. As we strike, the arm comes out, the hand grabs, rotate it around, pull in on the radial nerve, fingers against the body, drag them down, break the fingers, take the liver 9 point. Let's take a look at these techniques again. As he comes up and grabs, I step 45, the hand comes up and traps. The 1 knuckle punch or strike to the extraordinary point number 5 only brings the arm in this much. It hasn't set me up for the grab. That's why I strike to the bicep, which sets me up to grab, rotate, pull on the radial nerve, drag down, strike, and take the liver 9 point. The other application, I don't strike to the bicep, and the reason is, as I trap, I go into Nico, I strike the radial nerve. You see the big difference in his body position. At this point, all I have to do is reach across, grab, pull the radial, drag, break, and take the leg. Let's take a look at this technique full speed.